Thank you, Minister Copping. Good morning, everyone. What an incredible day for residents of Grande Prairie and Northwest Alberta. Our government was committed to getting the construction across the finish line and opening the new hospital. Job done. The construction of Phase 1 and Phase 2 is complete. Workers who gave it their all have moved on to other projects, and now our highly trained health professionals are delivering needed health services and programs to the people of Grande Prairie and area. I want to thank all the health workers for providing that service, much weighted service, quality service for the residents of Northwest Alberta. And I also want to thank my colleagues, MLA Allard, for strongly advocating for this project, and my cabinet colleague, Minister Taves, for funding the project for providing the additional funds required to complete both Phase 1 and Phase 2 on time. Thank you both. And also, there were many other infrastructure ministers before me who were involved in this project, although I had the honor to take it to the finish line, but many others were involved, both present and former MLAs of this region. I want to thank all of them. While the bricks and mortar for the Grande Prairie Regional Hospital are important, it is the care and expertise that goes on inside these walls that is and will continue to be the most important. Building a modern, efficient, and extremely large modern hospital like the marvel you have here in Grande Prairie is no small feat. A project of this magnitude is vital to support the well-being and continued growth here in Grande Prairie and for Albertans throughout the province. These projects create good-paying jobs, attracts investments into our communities, and supports local businesses, and are an integral part of Alberta's economic recovery. Speaking about Alberta's economic recovery, Alberta Recovery Plan played a very important role last couple of years because our province has invested more than $20 billion for every 3 years we are in power, and going forward for the next 3 years also our capital plan supports $20 more billion, which is a lot of money to invest in both economic and social infrastructure. So our government sees the infrastructure projects in healthcare, schools, roads, and many other important areas as an investment in the long-term future of Albertans, one that increases the quality of life and creates opportunities. Building a hospital of this size and complexity requires hundreds of skilled people who dedicated a good portion of their working life to bring these projects to completion. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the infrastructure team who have collaborated well with the HS and all the tradespeople, contractors, and literally the thousands of people who have worked tirelessly on this project. Again, to all of you, thanks for a job well done. It has been a long haul, and Grande Prairie, for all of you, the residents, the opening of this new medical marvel is the next chapter in your history. You know, you now have Alberta's newest and one of the most innovative hospitals in the province of Alberta, one that will meet the needs of Grande Prairie residents now and well into the future. Thank you all for your patience and perseverance. Thank you.
Given the length of construction and the budget being both much higher than were initially intended, what lessons can we take away from this project to future infrastructure and similar sized projects?
That is a billion-dollar question. You know, this is a celebratory day, and we're going to cut a ribbon somewhere here, aren't we, in a minute? All right. But it's been a long time getting here. We all know that. And this community's been so patient, and there were a lot of mistakes. My understanding is the main mistake was not locking down the plan, but constant changes. And every time in a complex project like this, there are new demands and modifications. That means delays and delays and delays and higher costs. And so Minister Panda has been working with his team at Infrastructure and with Health for future projects like this big Red Deer expansion to get the planning done really tight at the beginning. And then when somebody comes along with a bright idea 18 months later and say, well, we need this new thing, we say, sorry, too late, we're moving forward. Prasad, that's a layman's understanding of this. Give us the engineer's view.
Thank you for that important question. Folks at Alberta Infrastructure realize that we should get the best value for taxpayers' money. So going forward, what we are trying to do is to make sure the scope of the project is well defined before moving into construction. So there will be perfect coordination with Alberta Health and Alberta Health Services and other stakeholders, local community like the health foundations. So we're going to go through a gated process, which is, some of you may be familiar, in any major industrial project, they go through a gated process. So you don't go to the next stage unless you tick off those milestones. So in this case, for any big major health projects, I mean, schools are not as complex as health projects. So we have a needs assessment done, and then we have clinical services plan developed, and then we have functional programming, and then business case has to be approved. So we had to jump those hoops before getting into the final design and engineering and procurement and construction stage. That's one thing we're going to make sure before we get into construction, we tighten all those loose ends and then go into the construction. And going forward also, one thing I observed with this particular project, which Premier was right, we don't want to repeat that with other major projects like Grande Prairie, like Red Deer. That's why we're going to take time, put enough resources into front-end planning and design. So, and also the contracting documents, we are just making sure they respond to the scopes. If we had to issue the work orders, to eliminate the frequent change orders, we are going to build that contracts in a way that responds to the immediate needs, de-risking taxpayer investments. So those are a few things we are working on. There is always scope for improvement, but as Premier noted, today is the day to celebrate here. What a great day for Northwest Alberta.
Thank
you.